We are talking about why is playing and singing together so difficult. Even if you can play and sing together, which is very difficult to do even on a basic level, everyone can stand to improve unless you are, one of those top, incredible, super talented performers that just, of course, I'm not going to tell you anything. But most people find that when they're playing their instrument, particularly pianists, and singing at the same time, one of those things will suffer. And there's actually some really specific reasons why that is. It's not just, oh, I'm not good at multitasking, or oh, my brain can't work two things at once. I'm not good enough a singer, or I'm not good enough a pianist. It's not that. So really, I wanted to talk about this topic today so that for those of you who feel like you're not as good as you would like to be at playing the piano and singing together, there are very real reasons why it's hard. So we're going to go through those reasons and hopefully you'll feel better about the fact that it's so difficult. Firstly, focusing on the piano means that the voice goes to autopilot. So if you're more of someone who is trying to just get through playing the song, then the voice takes a back seat. We want to get to a point where our voice sounds awesome and we feel like we're producing that awesome sound, and the piano is also good. Singing can, if we don't put much effort in, is sort of just like talking but with pitch, right? You can kind of sing your way through a song without putting much. There's a couple of things that result from that. So it's hard to focus on the correct pitch. You might sort of slide up to notes and not quite hit them as accurately as we should be. We also find that it's hard to breathe properly with proper breathing technique that you need for singing well, which is like the first cornerstone of getting a good sound out of your voice. When I went to vocal coaches, one of the first things they get you to do is breathing exercises. And when you're playing the piano and you're singing on autopilot, that good breathing technique goes out the window. When we are performing into a microphone, it's hard to see our fingers. When you have a microphone here, not down here, because if you're like this, you're cutting off your voice box, right? That's not good for singing. So we have the microphone up here. But of course, that means you have to keep your head up to sing and you can't watch your fingers. It becomes very difficult. So if we are concentrating more on singing, then we find that our hands can start to, it's difficult to keep tempo if we're focusing more on trying to keep our singing voice and our breathing and all those things going and our pitch, then the tempo can start to slow down or even speed up if we're nervous. Singing the right melody note or syllable of a word with the right chord or piano note. So, oh my gosh, so it's not just the fact that if we're concentrating on playing the piano that our singing kind of suffers. If we're concentrating on singing, then our piano kind of suffers. It's the two things together that we have to think about, our tempo and how they match up with certain syllables, to be faithful to a song that we might be playing. As you can see from these reasons, we have all these sort of things going on. It's like spinning plates, right? We've got all these plates spinning on these tiny little spindles to try and play and sing properly and with the right rhythm and tempo and pitch and breathing properly and trying to keep our posture. It's just a lot to think about. So the first tip that I have is know your song. And that seems obvious. Obviously, if you're going to play and sing it, you're not going to try and sight reading playing and singing together. Even if you know how the song goes, like you've heard the recording a bunch of times, that's not the same thing. You can't just expect to sing and play together if you haven't already learned the song. How do you know if you know the song well enough to start putting it together? You should be able to play it on the piano if you're playing from sheet music without looking at it. I know that's pretty difficult, but that's something that I would do for myself. The idea is that you should be able to play it and maybe think about something else, or be talking to someone else in the room, or imagine someone's there and sort of have a fake conversation with them. If you can sing it the whole way through, memorizing the lyrics, also knowing where you breathe. The way you're going to get the best out of it is to take good breaths, have a lot of breath to come into a phrase. If you don't know where you're breathing, then quite often you'll take a breath in the middle of a phrase and that just mucks you up, right? You miss a word or you don't have enough breath to finish a note. So before we get to playing and singing together, you want to know where you're going to take a breath. Second tip is stick with very simple accompaniment. Leave the jazz, improv, and riffing technique to the professionals, or at least for a while. Thirdly, you're going to practice the piano while breathing. So we're talking about knowing where you breathe in the song before you start singing it is to just play the piano and focus on breathing while you're playing through the song. The step after that is to focus on humming the tune without any words. Those two techniques are sort of the first step to adding in the singing. We need good posture for playing the piano well, and we need good posture for singing. If you're slumped over because it's difficult or you're tired, you're not going to get the best out of either of those things. So make sure you're checking with your posture. Make sure that your throat is nice and open so that you can be singing, right? Not like this. If you've already been trying to get better at playing the piano and singing, you will already know from experience that practice is not enough. You can't just keep doing it over and over and over and expect to improve. What if there was someone who already knew how to do it from a lot of experience and a lot of their own education, and they could tell you the things that you need to focus on? Yeah, that would be me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and yeah. Play it like you mean it.